It is just gone 12 midnight in New York. It is 12 noon in Beijing. It is 6 a.m. Central African time in Mbabane. It is also 6 a.m. in Gaza, in the war-hit Gaza. Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show. We are coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Mbabane. I am LinkedIn Kule. Many thanks for joining us this morning. Nangigcoke kanjena angisuye mdumo isibaya
LinkedIn Kule Magwabane wase Hereford. Kunjani Magwabane?
No, see.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good Magwabane. No siyaphila siyavuka. Sibusela nje onke emaswati lamahle. Noma ngabe ke usibukela ulapha eshiselweni la ngitalwa khona sigodzi lesinemandla noma ngabe uselibonjeni ulapha kaHoho noma usenkhabave vuka nathi nalomuhla sikulethela lihlelo lomnanzi kakhulu kusile breakfast show hlelo lethu lwalomuhla linato tindzaba letakhako letindzaba tentfutfuko letindzaba letisinika talithemba futhi ngokutfutfuka kwelive nekutfutfuka kwemaswati sifuna nje kubuka ukutfutfuka kwemaswati nekuphila kwawo ehlangothini lwesifo epilepsy care umsebenzi ke lona lesifuna ukukhulumisa nebaka epilepsy organizations yathi ukuthi sinayo inhlangano lebuke sona sifo se-epilepsy lapha ekhaya. Abraham Janjali nguye ke umcondzisi wayo leyo nhlangano tawuhlala la lokuhleli khona LinkedIn Kule asuke LinkedIn sitawukhuluma ndzaba leti serious ikhulumise yona nje i-epilepsy naye babe njalo kune stigma around i-epilepsy but we are making strides silivela kangwane to break that stigma as well as to provide the health care services that are necessary sojalo singisi that are necessary for labo lokhanza ukuthi banayo leyo epilepsy ndzaba lesitayicocisa kabanti with Abraham Janjani yalo nje nakugabanca insimbi yesithupha ungasayinzawo
kaze ke mongo silive soloke liyahalalisa nembala lihalalisa njengoba inkampane lebukeke indzaba tekundiza eRenac ibisoloke igubha ke leyo mnyaka iEswatini isesibhakabhakeni because sisabe sinaye ke acting CEO la babeshongwe sitawuva nje ukuthi singabe ngutiphinisa ya mhlambe leti khona lebathi ngalo sibastilungise kunenzaba nje lenkulu ukuthi kwamanje nasasebenzisa iEswatini angibekise encenye uyaletulu bokhongo bokhongo awukhoni mhlambe ukuthi tikhwama takho tiyokukhanza khona lekhongo kufuneka na ufike eJozibele wehle utilanze uphinze utifake kuleyo ndiza ke leya eJozibele lekhongo kanti ke leti ama airlines sikukhanze embili siyafuneka kuthwale ukuthi ngabe yini lebakwentako ukuzama ku-improve kulelo hlanga silelo taba khona ke nakabanca insimbi yesikhombisa lomuhla bonke sihlanga semnikathi silalile ke itolo sadlala ngekulingana
Magwabane asasikhuluma ngalezi ndzaba kukhona indzaba
lesikhuluma ngikhuda
khona indzaba singathi coca kunenzaba lesingeke sacoca leyo sihlangu kungakho nje namhla nasifunza liphephandzaba sabuka hloko lethamba embili ubuka letemidlalo ngoba kunezinto omnele ngeke ngitifunze nje empilweni letingahandelwa mina ukuthi base Hereford bangathi bamba kangcono bonke sasibuka hloko lethamba embili amaphephandzaba elive lomhla ekseni. Ngathi hloko lethamba embili sitaqala sibuke iTimes of Eswatini. Ndzaba legijima embili kunato tonke SNAT's 30 demands to government but they call for Mbongwa's reinstatement, all charges to be dropped. Baphinza bathi teachers reject PMS, give government 7-day ultimatum or else. Yaqhubeka ke lelo sentence na uqhubeka nalo leli page ungena page 2 Times of Eswatini baphinza ke bafake lenye indzaba lethi we will accompany Mbongwa to work today lokusho ukuthi ke lusuku lwalomuhla Wednesday the 27th of March 2024 batawuhamba naye ke Mbongwa bampheletele baye naye esikolweni lenye indzaba lehamba embili bacede protests in court case postponed anzike lenye ithi Funduzi hires private investigator after death threats yekugcina itsinsa indzaba yekhumbi driver leseyiboshwe ke iminyaka lemine for assaulting passenger.
Kaze sitafuna kubuka naletho temidlalo kulolu phephandzaba eSwatini Times sihlangu survive late scare besilapha ke Mbombela sidlale ngekulingana neqembu leSomalia nga-2-2 kulandela sisihlangu khona besihamba khona embili ngamagoli amabili ecanzeni babuya ke baseSomalia balinganisa kepha ke siqhubekele embili isihlangu njengoba sinqobe nge-aggregate ya 5 2 lenye indzaba kunalo mdlali lokugijima ku Tottenham Hotspur olivele South Korea young son, yeah, whatever. Scores, South Korea beat Thailand. Khumbula ngathi badlala ke imidlalo ye World Cup qualifiers, yeah. Bedlala neThailand, South Korea. Ali dismisses exit claims. Uthi ke Ali akayinzawo, utachubeka ke alihole iqembu lembabane Highlanders. Letho kodwa imidlalo tathola ku Eswatini Times lomuhla.
Sifike njani ukuthi sisurvive i-late scare?
Ngifuna
sibuke Eswatini Observer bekunene ndithamba embili PMS standoff bathi give us working tools inzabakelena that speaks to head teachers bonesi accountants that have joined petition delivery to rather reject PMS. Anzikelenye inzaba bathi coming soon inzaba lenkulu Inyathi Group Chairman Michelo Shakantu Gnasias Tfombe is being seen leading a team of executives to final touch-ups of the opening of the Eswatini meat industries. It's expected to open this weekend. Gule Sitfombe Sibona Shakantu, his ex-co including MD Derek Shiba, Sebendi at the site. Lenye inzaba couple arrested for 56,000 emalangeni booze theft. So abantu ababili labathanzanako laba ngathi sebaboshelwe kwebatshwala loblinganiselwa etinkulungwaneni letingamashumi lasihlanu nesithupha 56,000 emalangeni.
Lokho sibekulu wayini ngoba sesiya ephasikeni siyadlala isidlo sembuzi.
Enqenye bebendela kukholwa.
Sibuke leto ke temidlalo kuyo iEswatini Observer Dominic gets job done. Yeah, sikhale phansi sona sihlangu kepha ke sithubekela embili as expected lapha kulama AFCON qualifiers bull in strikers dilemma njoba ibuya imidlalo ye Premier League eSwatini kuthiwa ke kunenkinga tebagadli lapha ecenjini layo iMabane Highlanders ngathi ke ngito ke lokuthi ke dikhanze bongosi leto Vinicius Junior uqhubekile ukuthi achwenise ngekwehlanga esikhathi ke liqembu leSpain lidlala ngekulingana neqembu leBrazil nga-3-3 emidlalweni ke bebungane eyayitolo busuku neqembu leNingizimu Afrika nanalo likhonile kudlala ngekulingana neAlgeria nga-3-3.
Yeah. Uthi demotivate abo racial abuse lo Vinicius. Lento yalabelungu le baganga lena.
Yabaganga but naye it must be a man of steel.
Yeah, let's siqhubeka sibuke Eswatini Daily News. Eswatini pushes for diplomatic solutions to global challenges rather at IPU. So ke livela kangwane liphushela diplomatic solutions kule decided corner temhlaba at IPU. Mhlangano lo khona ke Interparliamentary Union. Sibona lapha kule sasithombe kuthi khona vele sancisele livela kangwane lo thunywe khona Deputy President Ndumiso Mdluli of the Senate representative livela kangwane delivering a poignant speech advocating for diplomatic solutions to global challenges. Matsamo border post customs government extends border operations during Easter holidays. Skatsile vele ukuthi kutawuba nemalayini laphayana abantu labaningi bafuna ukuvakashela live la kangwane kunankhaya Easter lesevela cala ngelesine. Ndzaba yegcina Minister Sikhumbuzo leads engagements to empower communities.
Kanti ke kuleto temidlalo eSwatini Daily News ngizaba yaso sihlangu scraps through to qualifiers. Yeah, siphumelele ke sihlangu sisichubekele embili noma sidlale njengaloko kulingana.
Fails to sustain 2-0
aggregate score kube ngilo 5-2 sale sina kanje le aggregate score ya 5-2 lokunye ngete sakuteka Safa moves to attach real Ledwabas accounts solo ke baqhubeka nekubambana ngetihluthu bo real Ledwaba bekakatse angu deputy president wayo iSafa eNingizimu Afrika ngathi ke kuthiwa ke iSafa ifuna ke ukuthi ngathi lama accounts akhe angavalwa kutobuka kahle lokuthi inhlaba yabo igcina iphetfange kuthini bongosi kepha nje lenkulu ngiyindzaba yaso sihlangisemne kahle lesesichubekele embili tawingena kuma stafakwe ebhodweni nalamanye amaqembu kuhlungwe sekuhlungwa ke sekucela lemidlalo le serious.
Yeah.
Hayi lokhu lebe kwendiwa nje.
Uthi nyalo wena kuloku let's look at the glass half full not glass half empty.
Exactly.
Asene njalo makhona kusile bonkosi siyanivusela siyavuka vusana nalabantu babetgwili abavuke ngoba phela nasivuka siletha lo lihlelo lentuthuko na lelikhulu nakangaka bagiqikelana
mfethu manje ngiyabo batavuka abadlala iPlayStation bonkosi asibathola ethi manje sitabuya nenzaba tekucala talo mhla ekseni. This is the Wednesday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show. Good morning. Welina sanza kulela umsakazo wakho ngomsakazo wethombe Eswatini TV sisehleleni Kusile breakfast show sasa nje ndzaba teqala talo mhla ekseni induna ilitiko lotemcubo phansi lemandla umhlonishwa umntana ngosilo nkokhela uthi uhulumende utayisebenta indzaba yekuchibela imitsetfo nemigomo lengameleke indzaba temhlaba eveni induna beyikhuluma eParliament kulandzela ukuthi timbunga tiveteke tikhalo ngendzaba yemiti lesebonakala etintsabeni nendzaba yemaplaza.
Ekomidini lelibuke kusebenta kwelitiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla etimbungende liholwa imphunga sikhulu Ngomendla ngamandla njengasihlalo induna yetiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla umhlonishwa umfana Nkosi Lonkokhela wetfule umbiko ukuthi lelitiko lisebente njani kumnyaka timali wahulumende wa 2023-2024 lapho timphunga tibese tidzingidza lo mbiko.
As well nge-mining board ukuthi siyayibona seyiyashukuma i-mining board siyadumisa esihlalo esihloniphekile siyathemba ke esihlalo esihloniphekile ukuthi due diligence iyendiwa singabi nezinkampani lesathi kunikwa umsebenzi ubawube sibone ngathi sekuphelele teni
sathi ke sinalo libandla lephasi kwelitiko lemvuna lembuke kona kusebenza nekuphatha komhlaba ukuthi ngabe lo mthetho wekusebenta kwabo ini litiko liyacabanga ukuthi vele sake ucala ubalwa bakhona kude eParliament ukhona ukuthi iParliament ukhulisa uphansi
nawo ukuthi ukwenza bayimhlaba uvele ubethe nyembethe indzaba yemhlaba ngoba umhlaba ngathi kuligugu ngathi linjani so ayijika nje waba imali nawo uthi awubuka umhlaba ndawubekisa nje la dolobheni bekunemhlaba wahulumende eParliament ibuta ukuthi eParliament noma ukuthi umthetho yini kunemhlaba leminingi lesiyajika abayibantu.
Induna yetiko letemcebo waphansi nemandla umhlonishwa umfana Nkosi Lonkokhela ubese uniketa letinye timphendvulo.
Vele umhlaba seyinto lenkulu kakhulu unjalo nje awu expand osho sikeke vele ufanele unako ukhuluma ke ngemthetho ukuthi kepha lo mthetho logavulisha lo mhlaba kahle ukuze kungabi nidluphelo lelikhona lamuhla ngingasho ngithi sihlalo lo mthetho lo ukhona kusho sinjenyalo sesigabeni sekuthi siubuyise kulomnyaka ungakapheli ukuze kusebenteke kuyembili indzaba tema concessions vele nakhona lapho kusemele ukuthi sekathathwe onke lamaplus lawa la ngama-concessions sikhathi sawo lamaningi lesiphelile.
Timphunga ke tibese tiyawephetsa wonke lo msebenzi wekudzingidza imibiko ekusebenta kwematiko ahulumende namaphakela eminyaka timali wahulumende wa 2024-2025. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelswe Khoza seParliament.
Induna yetemafa mhlonishwa Neil Reckenberg sewethuleleke indlu yetimbunga umthetho losakhankanyo emaphakelo langetiwe lodinga ukuthi supplementary appropriation bill womnyaka wa-2024. Induna ithi kulamaphakelo lengetiwe uhulumende ubukeke nekusombulula tinsayelo tikhungetse inyuvesi yase-Eswatini kulokunye.
Ngesikhathi timbunga tichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu ohloniphekile ngalesibili, induna yetiko letemafa umhlonishwa Neil Reckenberg wetfulele indlu ohloniphekile umthetho losakhankanywa emaphakelo langetiwe langu-500 million emalangeni lowatiwa ngele supplementary appropriation bill wemnyaka wa-2024. Lo mthetho utawubona emaphakelo ematiko ahulumende ahleliswa kabusha kute lamatiko achubeke nemsebenzi welive wentfutfuko. Induna yetiko letemafa umhlonishwa Neil Reckenberg ubese wetfulela timphunga sandvulele sakhe ngalo mthetho.
Even though we are saying we're requesting this as additional budget, which normally we don't do, normally we realign in the budget totally. But at the same time, every year so far, we've underspent every year on our main budget. And we still feel strongly that even though we are requesting an increase of about $500 million emalangeni, that the normal savings in the annual budget should be enough and sufficient to cover that. So it shouldn't actually ultimately mean additional funding.
Timbunga tibese tikhulumisa lo mthetho wendvuna.
You're saying that this needs to be done. I'm sure government is well able. Let's open up where it needs to be opened up so that the people can feel that government is working.
It's the money there is going to go directly and finance the supplementary.
Indvuna inikete timphendvulo endlini yaveta kutsi kulokunye lamaphakelo atawuphakelwa inyuvesi yelive lase-Eswatini kusita kuqatulula letinkinga letikhona.
There's a bigger amount, by the way, Madam President, still outstanding in Palala. 1 year of over 100 million actually outstanding in Palala, but at the same time we could only reallocate a certain amount, which will take care of the emergency in Palala. But arrears. There are still arrears that will remain in Palala. Then clarity also on the 22 million for UNISA, Madam President, and that is that I was saying that it follows industrial action. It's not necessarily financing industrial action, technicality there. And so, Madam President, what we have found, and that is the university is battling. I think, as the Senator puts it, we really have a university in elements of dire straits. Even their finances has been very difficult. They have now been paying their PAYE up to date. That is one thing which I can really commend them for. The PAYE, as we stand here, it reached $1 billion at some stage. We wrote off that money on condition that they pay it on time, they're paying it on time. So there's elements of health starting to show in UNISA, but at the same time, they were just absolutely short. They got to the end of the year.
Indvuna yetemafa umhlonishwa Neil Reckenberg ubese uyacela ukuthi lo mthetho wendlulele ekomidini lendlu yonke, Committee of the Whole House, kute uphasiswe ube ngumthetho ngalokuphelele. Etintsabeni ye-Eswatini TV kubika Samkelswe Khoza sephalamende.
Induna yetekulima umhlonishwa Mandla Chauke itsike live lase-Eswatini lisahamba kahle emkhicitweni weluju lwetinyosi kanti-ke futhi luju loluphuma kuleli luhlobile. Induna beyimelelwe-ke kumabhalane lomkhulu wetiko letekulima Sydney Simelane emhlanganweni lowatiwa ngekuthi yi-Apiculture for Forest Ecosystems Conservation lubukene nemkhicito weluju nempilo yetinyosi. Lo mhlangano-ke ubanjelwe ehhotela Lady George Kamanzi.
Lo mhlangano losekelwe ngetimali yi-Center for Coordination of Agricultural Research for Southern Africa iCADESA uhlose kukhulumisa umkhicito weluju lwetinyosi nekuthi bafuyi betinyosi bakhone kufuyela ukuthi bathengise luju lwabo. Nebafuyi-ke bebawungenele lo mhlangano kanzi uhlanganise litiko letekulima nelitiko letekuvakasha nemvelo. Mabhalane lomkhulu wetiko letekulima Sydney Simelane lobekamele induna yetekulima Mandla Chauke uthi bafuyi beluju eveni lase-Eswatini bakhombisa kubambana nemkhicito uyabonakala.
Luju-ke singalusebenzisa locally njengemaswati phindze futhi silu-export. Kodwa lesekutfolile ukuthi nasi-exporter kuba ne-returns lamahle kakhulu ngoba lamave lasathuthukile senganana indzaba ye-pollution. So letinyosi noma loluju lwabo lugcina selu-polluted lungasabi mnanzi njengalolwakithi.
So mahlasi lomkhulu wetiko letekuvakasha nemvelo Mbhekeni Nxumalo ucela sive ukuthi sikugweme kushisa emahlathi ngoba kuyatithikameta tinyosi nemkhicito weluju.
Lenkinga yemililo iyasibulalela, ayisibulaleli kuphela lenyosi kodwa iphindze isibulalele nalo namahlathi langumnotho welive.
Dr. Clifford Dlamini lokhulumele iCADESA uthi babona bomcoka bekusekela lo mhlangano ngakubuka umkhicido weluju eveni laseSwatini.
Thina singikhadesa silalela kusemava afuna kwendalo bese thina sesiya support.
Phefeni Vilakati longumfuyi wetinyosi uyethaba ngalo mhlangano.
Siyabonga nje ukuthi bemahlathi basukume babambisane nelitiko lekulima, basukume babambisane nemfuyi. Kuyingcayizi vele kwakona lokho nje.
Lo cwaningo lweminyaka wanga-2023 lukhomba ukuthi 70.2 webafuyi betinyosi beba besilisa lapha eSwatini. Kazi lo mhlangano utawuqhubeka kude kube ngolesine kuleli vikele elisetulu. Etindzabeni kubeka Giyani Msibi nginasimuva Shongwe sehotela Lady George kaManzini.
Inkampani yetindiza kuleli Royal Eswatini National Airways Corporation RENAC itsike le nkampani ihlele kuthuthukisa le nkampani ngekungeta letinye tindlela letihanjwa tindiza takuleli tatwenga ukuthi iEswatini lokho kuvete ngilosabambe kuba ngumphathi kule nkampani Ndumiso Shongwe kulandzela ukuthi le nkampani kubhe umnyaka indiza yeEswatini isesibhakabhake.
Indiza yokuqala lenkampani yeSwatini Air Embraer ERJ145 yasuka kwekuqala mhla tinge-26 kule nyanga lesetulu naseyigabence insimbi yesikhombisa ekseni imbimbiza umjeka welive ihlanganisa live laseSwatini nemhlaba lokwaba ingcayizivele 11 njengoba ngiyo lememe umjeka welive. Njengoba sekwaba ngumnyaka ke letindiza letimbili lihlanganisa live nemhlaba losabambe kuba ngumphathi wenkampani yetindiza kuleli iRoyal Eswatini National Airways Corporation RENAC Ndumiso Shongwe ubonge Maswati ngekwesekela le nkampani wase uveta tinhlelo tentfutfuko teminyaka letako.
Kubuka imbili ngoba lokumtoka kakhulu tsatsethu ukuthi si maintain sisemoyeni. Indiza yakha imali nesemoyeni nayihleli phasa iyakha. So kungimanje nje sibhizi ngema strategies ukubuka ukuthi singayigcina kanjani le ndiza yethu isemoyeni. Lokuye kube kukhulu kakhulu ma cost operate. So kuze ukuthi sithabe kwa container funa diversify le product yethu nema services ethu. Siyabuka nje ukuthi ngabe singangena njani ukuthi silayishe imithwalo lesithi cargo. Sikhona nokuthi mhlambe letinye into lesisebenzisako ikakhulu ku maintain letindiza. Sikhona ukutendela la ekhaya, sikhona ne training, sikhona na ukuyendela la ekhaya. Ngiko lokuthi sisemoyeni ngoba injongo lenkulu ukuthi we must always be in the sky. Vele nasisaqala sakha yona le plan yokuthi siqale le airline ngelive sayisibikela sive sambikela uhulumende ukuthi nasisaqala vele akukabheke ukuthi singathi sesitawuba nenzuzo sise eminyakeni yokuqala. Sabika ukuthi njengawo wonke ama startup airlines i-break even point lapho sithi cha nyaloku cha indiza seyiyati ihambela imali seyiyatakhela sasibekise ukuthi mhlambe eminyakeni wesithathu nase siuqedzile ngikhona lapho khona siyawuqala khona ukuthi cha nyaloku sesiyasebenza emaSwati ayasupporta indiza abantu bayigibela siyakhona ukuthi sithole lokho lesikuthola.
Letindiza letimbili solo ticalile kundiza tilayishe tandizisa bantfu labatinkulungwane letingamashumi 28,000 kanzi tiya etindzaweni letine lokungu-Durban, Cape Town, Harare naseJozi. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV kubika Samuel Swekhoza Sembabane.
Inkantolo lenkulu seyichubele embili kutekwa kweliqala labo mduduzi baqede mabuza kanye namthandeni Dube. Lokuye kulandzela sicelo lesendiwe bameli balabasolwa itolo nabaveleke enkantolo. Lendzaba beyichubeke embi kwelijaji lenkantolo lenkulu Justice Mamsidlamini.
Bomduduzi baqede mabuza kanye namthandeni Dube balahlwa ngemacala lafaka ekhatsi buphekula sikhuni kanye nekubulala. Ngalesibili bebavele enkantolo lapho bekubhekeke ukuthi batakusho labangakusho ngesigwebo sabo. Lithe nalingena enkantolo lijaji Mamsidlamini wasukuma ummeli lomkhulu wabomabuza naDube longu Jacobus van Vuren watshela inkantolo ukuthi basengakalungeli kucala. Van Vuren utshele inkantolo ukuthi Mabuza umtshele ukuthi unenkinga nalabanye bameli bakhe. Inkantolo ibese igucisa lendzaba sikhashana yaniketa labameli isikhatsi ukuthi bakhulume naMabuza. Bangenile egumeni bameli naMabuza kwabakhona lophuma kusachubeka tinkulumo. Labameli babese bahamba nalabo bembuso bayawukhuluma nelijaji emahhovisini alo. Batsena babuya enkantolo yajuba kutsi le ndzaba itawuguca kute kube ngumhla ka-30 enyangeni yaMabasa. Loku kulandzela sicelo lebesifakwe bameli bamabuza naDube futhi umbuso longakasiphikisi. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela, mina Themba Shabangu enkantolo lenkulu.
Inhlangano lesekela ke emabhizinisi International Trade Center seyiqeqeshe inhlangothi letitsinsekako ngebumcoka bekuthi ke bomake bangene ebhizinisini yekulima. Bongani simelane libukeke ekuthuthukisa emabhizinisi kule nhlangano uthi ke babonile ukuthi bomake abakhoni kahle kulimela kuthengisa.
So sibonile ukuthi yiningi inzima lidlalwa bomake especially kule tekulima taka agriculture. Kanti uma sesibuka cishe siyabona lokuthi baye bahlangabetane netingcinamba lecishe tiba tiningi letifaka ekhathi ku-access of ama-resources kungaba yindzawo kungaba tetimali but sizame kubuka lokuthi how best can we make sure lokuthi kuba na equal access to ama-resources kubomake kuze sitokhona kukhulisa tekulima.
Inhlangothi letingenelelo umhlangano tithi lo lwati lutawusita ekutheni bafundziseke kangcono bomake ngebhizinisi yetekulima.
Sinyalo sesiceceshiwe ngema-gender responsive tools sesitawukhona ukuthi nathi-ke sisite bomake and nabobabe generally the household emakhaya kwekuthi manje-ke makwendiwa ema-decisions especially pertaining to agriculture babe inclusive make abidwe naye ukuthi omake senda loku and kutasita ngaloko.
Bamlabash lo lwati lengilitholela ngekhathi lutabasita ekuthenini bakhone kucamba emabhizinisi balungise letimpepha kahle ngendlela lefanele nalokuthi bati ukuthi kahle kahle yini tincabekelwane noma tingcinamba labangahlangana nato ezibachubeka nale bhizinisi bayakha kusukela ekuqaleni kuze kube sekuthenini seyiyakhona kukhicita ngendlela lefanele ibalethela imali.
Litiko letekulima lende umgomo lotawucinisekisa ukuthi balimi bemaswati lokufaka ekhatsi bomake bayakhona kulimela kuthengisa bacale emabhizinisi. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Dlangamandla kunavuma inkosi inzinisa embabane.
Ikampani yahulumende lethuthukisa ke bosemabhizinisi SEDCO ithi ke itawenda tinguquko ngendlela leniketa ngayo lusite kubosemabhizinisi ngenhloso yokwenta ke siqiniseke ukuthi emabhizinisi ikakhulukazi lawo lamancane ayathuthuka kuleli. Lokho kuvetwe ngumnelisi Sibanze lubukeke kutentuthuko nakachaza ukuthi yini labayendako kusita labo labafisa ke kucala emabhizinisi ikakhulukazi ngekwehlisa imali laba babhalela ngayo ke nakulekuthiwa i-business plan.
Tinhlangano letesekela bosomabhizinisi tithi inkinga lenkulu letihlangabetana nayo natifuna kwesekela labosomabhizinisi ngetimali ukuthi abakhoni kahle kwenta umkhombandlela webhizinisi. Labo labafisa kucala emabhizinisi bona bathi kuyabadulela kutfola lusito lwekwakha i-business plan. Inkampani yakaSEDCO ithi isebenta yona indzaba yekubuyeketwa kwemali yekwakhela emaswati lomkhombandlela.
Previously we were charging a certain fee. But right now, after consulting with higher institutions, we have also noted that we need also to curve a bit on the prices so that they can be accommodative and they also be, let me say, available for each and everyone, understanding the economic crisis that is available in the country, especially under the income part. So there are alterations that are being made. Recently, there's been a strategy that has been made by SEDCO, but it's still not effective. But hopefully, before the end of this year, there are alterations that's going to be made under the possible services that SEDCO does offers that are made available in the country, especially Maswati and women. We do understand that these new interventions, most people who are affected are those who are starting or startups. And those startups, you find that one of the major constraints is financial. It's financial. So with this initiative, with this new strategy, I'm sure it's going to be flexible for everyone and very much accommodative.
SEDCO uthi kwakha umkhombandlela webhizinisi lengaphansi kwa 100,000 emalangeni kupita imali lelinganiselwa ku 938 emalangeni kanti lengetulu ibita imali lelinganiselwa ku 1,876 emalangeni. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Ngamandla nginavuma inkosi Nzinisa eMbabane.
Kutemidlalo sihlangu sidlale ngekulingana nelikhethelo lesive laseSomalia emlendeni wesibili wemidlalo ke ehlungela imave la yongenela ke imidlalo ye-AFCON eMorocco eminyakeni lotako. Sihlangu ke sichubeke lembili nanoma sidlala ngekulingana nje ngoba kule mlende emibili nayihlanganiswa emagoli abesihlanu kulamabili. Phathiso Msibi bekakhona ke Mbombela idolo.
Sihlangu semnikazi sithe kulo mdlalo sihamba embili ngamagoli amathathu ecanzeni emlendeni wesibili wale midlalo yema-playoffs. Balandzeli ke bebakhatse ukuthi kutoba ngumdlalo lomelula njengoba wabukeka umelula emlendeni wokucala. Ekhatse enkhundleni kuyakabi melula njengoba iSomalia ihlale kangcono kusukela ke ucala umdlalo. Akabi neligoli esigamini sekucala nakukhatha loko omabili emacembu awakhile emathuba. Kubeke ngisesigamini sesibili lapho kukhona tindvu tishintshile. Sabelo Nzinisa utholele kucala le-Eswatini ngemva kweliphutha la iSomalia emuva. Ithe-ke isethukile iSomalia bonga amathebula wabuya ngemandla wafalela lesibili lesihlangu. Bese kungathi-ke uphelile umdlalo kepha-ke iSomalia yala kulala phansi lapho khona iphakamiseka kakhulu emandla yathola ligoli lekucala labo kulo mdlalo. Uthe sosonzele emaphethelweni iSomalia yavalela lekulinganisa lapho umdlalo uphele ngawo lamabili ngale nangale. Lokho sekusho ukuthi iEswatini seyichubekele embili ngamagoli lasihlanu kulamabili ngemva kwale midlalo lemibili. Kusatodvonsana ke kubona ukuthi sihlangu sitawudlala nabo bani kule midlalo ekuhlungela wona emave la yongenela indzebe ye-AFCON 2025 eMorocco eminyakeni lotako. Lobekela umsakazo weSwatini TV temidlalo ngiphathiswe Msibi anamfana futhi Bhembe eMbombela eNingizimu Afrika.
Ngaleso temidlalo bonke sibambela phakathi ecala talo mhlekuseni ehlelweni Kusile breakfast show sibathula ke market nasibuya 12 tabe ke ade kanzaba tesifo sekuwa.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Mizuzu le ngemashumi lamathathu nakune kubumbene insimbi yesithupha ngalo muhla sikwamukela ehlelweni Kusile breakfast show. Sibuya nyalo sibuya na Lungelo Myeni uqhamuka lapha ka Eswatini Epilepsy Organization banemsebenzi lomkhulu lo ngifuna nje ukwenta isiqiniseko sokuthi i-epilepsy iba i-health priority lapha eveni la kaNgwane simo ke se-epilepsy ngisho mabona ngithi simo ngoba ngisamvusela nje ilungelo vele ngifuna ukuthi sike nje sibhunge na indzaba yokuthi epilepsy ibidwe ngesifo sikugcwele la lwimini lweMaswati ngabe kuliqiniso kangakanani ukuthi isifo i-epilepsy mnguni waseningizimu ngoba ngiyaye ngive umbathi hayi isifo sekuwa lesi kodwa lendvo na uthi uyayibukisisa kahle kungathi bathi condition lena
ngingakangeni endzabeni yakho oyibeka komsakathi ngicela ngivusela babukele emakhaya ngivusele naso sive sebenza naso abantu abaphila isifo sekuwa tonke tikhalo taKaNgwane lapho basibukela khona siyabavusela lokhuluma ngomyeni Lungelo ngisosha lokho ngisebenza phansayo inhlangano Eswatini Epilepsy Organization futhi ngibukele litiko letenhlala kahle yes uthi nza indzaba yesimo nesifo in relation to epilepsy okay kahle vele i-epilepsy ngathini isimo ngoba nase siyibeka ukuthi isifo it's like sekuta nesicithide kanti kufuna ukuthi bangathi vele mhlambe baqwayeka lekungilenye yema drives leswapromotha ukuthi mhlawumbe asingabacwayi abantu abane epilepsy nanabo babantu banema rights njengayo kumflo lokhona leli
sifike kanjani la kuthenini ke mnguni waseningizimu ngumnguni wasegudu nami mnguni angisiyo umsakazi siyafundisa lapho indzaba lenkulu mnguni yes sabakubita ngesifo savele sekwaba into lekhona kodwa ngiyacabanga ukuthi manje singasiphakamisa lesishukumiso sekuthi sikushintshe lokho yebo kona siyade ukuthi ulimi lwethu leSiswati lihlele uba limited naso sawuthi licathanisana lesingisi lokhaza le vocabulary yakhona extensive expansive yinengi yakhona ukuthatha ligama lelo uthi condition nakuyi condition si disease nakuyi disease uthi illness nakuyi illness whatever the case is lakithi sithena sesibuyisa lo condition wa epilepsy sathi sifo vele kube ngilokuthi le vocabulary limited yini noma kube yini lapho ngoba mina yivo vele ngifuna ukuthi salokuphakama shukumiso ukuthi salishintshwa le siso sifo
ngawathi leshukumiso lesikhulumisako umsakadi vele sishukumiso lekumele ukuthi mhlambe sisiphakamise noma sisebenzele tikwazi ngoba vele nase sithi i-epilepsy isifo sewuva ngazi ukuthi lo muntu sewunekungamukeleki inyanga kanti kino lengasiyo le kahle leyo ngicabanga ukuthi lokho vele kulethwa ngiyo lena khonja le limitation ku vocabulary yethu njengoba usho ukuthi mhlambe emagama ethu kule context yesiswati nase siwabhekisa ngale lesingisi ukhanza sona amancane as compared to lawe ezingisi so le vocabulary esingisi wide as compared to le yethu singemaswati ngiyafuna ukuthi sibuye emsamo siyofuna singabe singathi simo siyini i-condition yini mhlambe ngesiswati
in relation to health particularly ngoba we have academics lapha kaNgwane we have people with PhDs bafundzele ilanguage bafundzele iSiswati sisavele nangabe bayasibukela kukhona nje lengumatiko wakanxumalo make Ndwandwe nangabe uyabukela nabamatiko bamtshele siyacela bekunene kutholakala emagama nje la tawuhambisana nale tinfo leti ngoba sekungena le stigma lesitawungena kuso nje nase sithi epilepsy isifo kanti empeleni akusiso sifo asiqhubeke mnguni umbukele ekhaya ake simchazele nje kahle ukuthi le epilepsy iyini ngesalibalekela leligama lokuthi sifo vele nyalo sitawuthi simo maboma sivumelane nababukele ekhaya lokuyichaza nje ukuthi iyini ngoba ngiyaye ngive nje ukuthi icishe ihlukahlukene seizure kanti at the same time phinze kube intertwined kancane engabe iyini vele i-epilepsy
okay i-epilepsy okay isimo lesigamenta kusebenza kwebuqopho yes njoba usho nje uveta ne-seizure okay i-seizure siye siyisebenzise mhlambe kudefine yona le epilepsy because la kithi siye sithi kuze ukuthi umuntu start une-epilepsy kufuna ukuthi at least abe nema-seizures lang-2 kulama-seizures akhe abe noma our experience in a space of more than 24 hours apart yes then abe convulsive nalama-seizures akhe lawa experience akhe shothi kahle kahle singasho ukuthi i-seizure ngiyona lendvulela lokuthi umuntu bese sithi mhlambe sone epilepsy
manje sengisala kunaligama la convulsive mani lela lo convulsive usho ukuthini convulsive
okay shothi ngala ngakithi kulesimo sekuwa lo convulsive siye simchaze ukuthi mhlambe ukuthi
le ndlela le seizure letiveta ngayo lo muntu a experience le seizure ufuna ukuthi iphinze ngaleyo ndlela leyo hayi ukuthi namuhla mhlambe bekawile kusasa mhlambe so went another reaction kuleyo
kusene kwenteka nangabe sekuyahluka kusasiyo le epilepsy sengilokunye but nase kungathi kuyafana kuyaphinzeka futhi in the space of uthi 24 hours
24 hours apart
lapho seniyabona ukuthi i epilepsy ke le
yes msakati ngoba lengingakuveta nje ukuthi okay kukhona kuye ukuthi ivete kwi epileptic seizure kanzi akusiyo
okay
njoba ngisho nje ukuthi okay kufuna ukuthi at least lo mfu experience 2 ama seizure shothi kahle kahle nga experience yini ingeze sithi lo mfu lo sone epilepsy
okay
yes shothi kufuna ukuthi kube more than 2 or more wama seizures
okay
yes nalama seizures akhe mhlambe abe le ndlela activate ngayo kube ipattern
okay
yabo yes
yinto lena lengakuthola noma ngabe kusiphi isigaba seminyaka ngifuna ukubelieve lo ngathi utangikhanyisela umfana uyaba nayo epilepsy mkhulu angabana maka ngabana baba ngabana kuliciniso lokho noma vele kukuthola sesemncane kusheshe kubonakala
okay kuleli hlangothi lelo msakati ngingasho ukuthi kude lesingathi nge-age group bakhe u-immune to epilepsy kanjalo nakuma races ngeke size sisho ukuthi mhlambe wena u-immune to epilepsy ngeke uzibambe epilepsy ngoba mhlambe umhlophe ngelibala unsundu nelibala
okay encenye singangene kulombuto lo yomnguni waseningizimu asiqale ngala ukuthi yini timbangela the epilepsy encenye saseke sesithi tangent sesingena kulo mbuto lo
okay okay timbangela the epilepsy ngasho ukuthi okay dineng but ke lucwaningo luvetile ukuthi kule timbangela tineng lestatiko thini it's only 50% le statiko then the rest the another 50% is unknown lokusho ukuthi njoba ngisho ukuthi no one is immune to epilepsy
yeah
it's an emphasis ukuthi vele kude lo immune to epilepsy ngoba wathi so 50% lo muntu awuchama kanjani yes okay kule timbangela mhlawumbe daso sifo sekuwa lo tifuna komsakati kwekuqala nje i-head injury
okay
noma ngabe ichamuke ngaluphi ihlobo mhlambe uchamuka ngemoto ingoti yemoto mhlambe ichamuka ngokuthi uwile noma ushayeke enhloko assault ngaleyo ndlela le ungaba nayo epilepsy but lokho kwendeke ukhanza ukuthi kuthatha lichinyana lokuthi itibonakalise le epilepsy ngoba kufuna ukuthi kuze kube neclot mhlambe kule mithambo yakho le emikisa imessage mhlambe engqondweni nale susa imessage engqondweni imikise to the rest of the body kufuna ukuthi kube neclot bese sekuba ne disorder ke noma i-abnormality kule electrical activity la enhloko so iclot ingasithatha isikhathi ukuthi mhlambe idevelop ungayitfola ingoti yemoto namuhla ukhanze ukuthi le epilepsy itawutiveta mhlambe emva kweminyaka leng2 so le clot beyisa develop lengadi isakhona ku maneuver through nakho nje le lama blood vessels but ezikhamba isikhathi le clot yayigcina yayivala le blood vessels so kahle kahle ayisakhoni kinakho nje ingadi kwendlula na ingasakhoni ingadi kwendlula shothi sekude ioxygen le enough leya engqondweni kuma brain cells kanti uze ukuthi umuntu atawuba nesizwe kufuna ukuthi kube bede
sikabeta lokuhamba kwale oxygen iye kuma brain cells
exactly ikakhulu kati le oxygen le supply le oxygen kufuna ukuthi ibe constant
kakhulu
yes imqwa kakhulu le ingakho noma kule first aid intervention yakhe umuntu unesizwe siye sisho lo ukuthi kufuna sifacilitate nakho nje le oxygen flow noma asijarisha ala purpose
okay
lokho kwesi-ensureisha kanjani siye sithi awufaki lutho la mlonyeni ngoba nasofaka something siyathi ukuthi sibantu siphefumula sisebenzisa 2 ama-organs the nose and the mouth so nasengivalele lo mlomo mina sengifake something noma i-object ethile shothi kahle kahle sengiyivalile le nakho nje lo moya lese udzingako ukuthi ayele engqondweni
shothi what I'm picking up kule timbangela I think lehamba embili ngilokulimala kwenhloko in any form usingabe sidlala ibhola singcunzane kabi noma ngicunzela ibonza noma car accident whatever it is but if it's to that detriment ekuthenini perhaps kutaba ne blood clot lapha enhloko after a while since izabe ukuthi bese kulimala nala kuma neurotransmitters akusahambi kahle lombuto wami uthi is that the only known cause ngoba uvetile ukuthi 50% siyamati the other 50% is unknown What I'm picking up is the leading cause probably kuleti known ukuthi vele ulimali la hloko ungconze ngendlela thide lengasho ukuthi inesindvo lesikhulu noma vigorous. Perhaps are there any other examples that we may cite that could lead to ukuthi ube ne-epilepsy outside of ukuthi nje ungconze ngenhloko?
Okay. Okay, lo singigcile la kulena khunja le head injury. It's because ivele ngiyo lengaphose ngithi i-common ngiyo leli dako. But akhona lamanye emanakunja ama-examples ema-causes to epilepsy. I-epilepsy ingaba genetical.
Okay.
So kahle kahle ingagijima la mndenini. Even though i-epilepsy ingasiye contagious but i-hereditary.
Okay.
Nakusho ukuthi mina ngine-epilepsy. Situkulane sami mhlambe abantu bami batukulu bami na bokhokho. Yes, bokhokho bami.
Ndekabe banayo.
Shothi kahle kahle the next 3 generations ataba sethubeni lelihle ukuthi angaba naso sifo sekuwa. Shothi kahle kahle ngaleyo ndlela leyo ihamba kulamana kunje kule bloodline, family bloodline. Yes. Ngilesinye ke ngilenye ke imbangela yaso sifo sekuwa leyo.
Okay.
Nabo fever nanabo banesandla kuyo inakunja iye
fever.
Yes, fever. Ukuthi kushisa kakhulu kwemumvu. Ukhanza ukuthi sekuba imbangela la kule sifo sekuwa. Lokwendeka lako ngoba ngiyabona ngathi u-interested kule fever.
Yeah, ngiyafuna lokuva ngoba i-common nayo le fever.
Yes. Okay, lokwendeka lako ukhanze ukuthi umfuna kashisa kakhulu.
Yeah.
Le blood flow, le pressure yayo iba setulu. Na iba setulu iyawusabula lo mthambo.
Okay.
Kanti ngithithe ecaleni, ngithithe kwaze watsabuka lo mthambo wenhloko. Sechamka iclot, nachamka iclot sekublock i-oxygen, nakublock i-oxygen sechamka isisha.
But oxygen hamba la kule ngadi nayo.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sengiyakhumbula.
Lapho ke la bese lapho i-fever bese nana seyiba i-contributor lapho. There's also another common cause yayo inakunja i-epilepsy, but nje ukhanze ukuthi siyayi-overlooka singemaswati. Kukhona na i-condition esithi i-neurocysticercosis.
Neurocysticercosis.
Yes, it's neurocysticercosis. I-common ke le cause lena emakhaya more especially ngoba siyithola ukuthi mhlambe sidle inyama yengulube. Okay, noma angisebenzele le honje into uzendawo lethe le demarcation. Ito uvakala le demarcation. Okay, angithi nje kudla inyama yehonje mhlambe lene parasite. Ine parasite lokuthiwa i-tinea sodium leletha le condition lokwe neurocysticercosis.
Okay.
Yes, leti ngulube leti honje ezithi tivukuta lapha enakunje netaleni. More especially yana nje siya ebusika. Uyukhanda usemakhaya tiyavulelwa lemahokeni leti honje. So nathi ivulelwe emahokeni tiyahamba tiqosha lokudlekako lapha emataleni. In so doing setiphika le parasite lekuyithina solium.
Okay.
Nathi iphika yona shothi ingena la system yayo. Thina nase sidla lenyama yayo ayifi ke nakunje parasite le. If ungakayipheki kahle nakunja yakho lenyama yayo naso idla. Shothi nje ke siyasikhusade ukuthi nasho ukuthi le honji le ngilebe kathi vuta petaleni. Asingayosi, asiyipheke.
Okay.
Yes, kutawufa le parasite.
Naloko ipheka kwethu kungabi nje kupheka ukuthi sonke wasonke ama units nasipheka ngagezi.
Yes, asipheke nje ivuthwe.
Sinika nje ama units ayo sithi cha. Lo 10 units lona ngabe ngi10 ngavele nama units sekagijima vela lingisa Usain Bolt. So yapheka nje impela ukuthi ithi lucu.
Ivuthwe ithi lucu. Kutawufa le parasite nasho sibe ikhona leyo nje le.
Ngone. Uyangithusa ke ngalendzaba yanje kodwa I think nalendzaba yokuthi nje vele sidawuboti hlabela leti mhonji sitidlele kuyasida lo ukuthi ihambe lento iyopopolo
kumquka kakhulu
so all those processes lesiya sifune kwaskipha thina ngoba sesaba bogozolo siyakwati ukuhlinzela stendele konke sekunebungoti cha kuyevala mnguni ngiyawevala ama causes lo abalako ngithusa kakhulu le fever kuleye ukuthi kungaba genetic ngifuna lokho uthi 3 generations.
Yes,
after lo 3 generations the chances of it ukuthi kusala ukubreakeka are high or vele they are absolute.
After lo 3 generations ukhanza sekehlile lamathuba kanti within the 3 generations emathuba asetulu kakhulu lapho
so ayancipha that they become minimal. Okay, ngizama ukusita ina family lokhanza sewufikile lo 3 generations about so next generation sayitawuphepha. The chances are still there but they are minuscule mancane yakho.
Yes, okay. Njoba ngisho ukuthi ngidinengile nakho nje letimbangela. Ngakhanza ukuthi ayisachamuki ngaloba hereditary.
Okay.
Labo sekuchamuka letinye indlela.
Quite interesting. Incombuti prostate cancer, but we're not talking about that because nanayo siyevalwa ukuthi inako kuba genetic yahamba from generation to generation. So tinvo lestikhanza tiba unfortunate, but lokukhulu kakhulu lencenye lesingafuna ukugcizelela ukuthi kunaku lesikhanza khona ukuthi soyangcunza noma so unabo fever noma so senza wena lekhanza seyishisa kakhulu. These are some of the things we can avoid. Lesifuna ukuthi isho nasesiveni ukuthi ababe wary of being in situations like that. Okay. Ngiyafuna sichubeke singene endzabeni stigma. Ngoba sicishe sangena vele kuyo nasisabuka lo ukuthi inde epilepsy sangena nje lapha ekuqaleni. Ngabe stigma se epilepsy even la kangwane singakanani? Ngibutisa ngoba sinibonile imisebenzi yenu lebesoloni yenda, particularly in addressing stigma over the years. Is it something that you see reaping fruitful results? Sisive sangwane vele sesiya banakweni ukuthi we do understand what epilepsy is.
Ngingasho ukuthi there is a positive improvement le khona towards nakhonja kusuzo kwestigma nje in the faces of Eswatini. To substantiate that eminyakeni endlulile sifo sekuwa besingaregardwa as a disability.
Okay.
Yes, but ngekuhamba nekusebenta kwethu mhlambe siyinhlangano nema partners ethu lasibambisako imihla nemalanga kwagcina kubonakala ukuthi okay noma sive besikade sibuka i-physical disability as the only disability lekhona. But nanaso sifo sekuwa and the other sister conditions ngoba akhona okay sifo sekuwa sona sifuna on the neurological class but asisiso kufana on the neurological class.
Right.
Akhona lamanye ama conditions la khona leyo khanze ukuthi siyaba ngema comorbidity aso lesifo sekuwa as well.
Okay, can you make an example? Is seizure part of that? No, that's different.
Okay, seizure kahle yala khaya.
Okay.
Yes. Kunabo autism spectrum disorder.
Fair. Okay.
Yes.
No, sengiyakova siqhubeka. Yeah,
Yes.
all right.
Okay, i-epilepsy seyadregardwa nyalo ezinakhonja i-disability. Evidence to that sekukhona abantu labanesifo sekuwa beseba-benefita from i-disability grant. Yes. Lokusho ukuthi is a positive impact on our side.
Yeah.
Yes, siyakujabulela lokho and also mhlambe ke kuphuma kuye kule maphakelo lawo ama disability grant. Bantu labanesifo sekuwa bayaxwayeka nje kakhudlwana. More especially on the workplaces. Yes.
Is it more on the workplaces over at Tikolweni? I would assume just I'm not in the field utangichazela. Ngibe ngiyabuka nje ukuthi ngiyabona sikhula etikoleni outside of the fact that knowledge yethu isese ku stage lapho khona it's still being groomed sisakhiwa siba nje nalama perceptions ethu labheke eceleni bamloyile kunjanjanyana yabo mina nje ngiyakhumbula ukuthi kubo assembly point bokhanza ukuthi kuumuntu but letinto bokhanza ukuthi siyathi xoxa sibantu babesikolo in hindsight nyalo lokusengifunza sengihlelina nawe ngiyabona ukuthi the biggest possibility there was epilepsy because you also look at the frequency ukuthi bekokhera kangakanani. But at the time nasiletikolweni everyone came up with their own conclusion which was far from the truth. And I want to assume ukuthi la misebentini ukuthi sesikhulile sifunza nemaphepha our interest change as we grow nalokufuna nje kwathi itinto. I would assume kuyangilimata nje kuva ukuthi la misebentini stigma sethu.
Oh, okay, with letikolweni ngingasho ukuthi ikhona positive improvement lekhona on that part.
Okay.
Si eksebentini kwethu njengenhlangano siyangena etikolweni. Sathola ukuthi there is someone lo sesikolweni sithe lona epilepsy. Sihambe siye kuleso sikolo leso sifundise kabanzi ngayo i-epilepsy ukuthi iyini uphila njani emntwana ne-epilepsy. In that way babe sisebam accommodate in their system. Yes. Akusafanani nakadzeni lapho khona bekuthiwa hey unemadimoni ningahambele eceleni kwakhe.
bamthandazele bambeke etanda umbana agule.
Yes, so siyangena kula tikolweni sibafundzise kabanti. But with lam 17 le rate unemployment so isetulu.
Okay.
Yes, that's why ngithi mostly la on the workplaces bayaqwayeka abantu abanesifo sekuwa.
Okay.
Yes, so laba khona ukuqasheka ngale rate le mhlawumbe.
Okay.
Lo umuntu nje phaca la qasheka ngayo yena.
Yeah, ngoba ayastipulate lama interview noma lama application processes abo ukuthi do you have any health conditions? Now khanza ukuthi soyasho wena ukuthi I'm epileptic, khanza ukuthi sebasheshe bakubeke eceleni. Kulokuyini khona siyikhudako la.
Yes. Kugizelela nje lo hlangothi lelo. Ngingaveta lo ukuthi i-epilepsy kude mhlawumbe ukuthi iyamthikameda umuntu ekubeni productive emsebenzini wakhe. Ngoba indlela etiveta ngayo epilepsy iyahlukahlukana kumuntu ngemuva. Kukhona mhlawumbe laba avelele ukhanza ukuthi ama-seizures abo sa uncontrolled. But there are also those as well laba la ukhanza ukuthi well controlled ama-seizures abo, they can be as productive as I can be noma nanawe lo ngaba productive ngayo.
We have a few minutes left Mnguni waseningizimu ngibuka nje ukuthi sesikhulumile particularly timbangela what is epilepsy sibukile nokuthi the stigma around it sithini isithombe saso ngichaza ngoligama lokushoko la control ngoba lingasinikeza ukuthi sephethe kahle lenkhulumo yethu ukuthi now so now le epilepsy how do you really deal with it, not particularly control it, how do you deal with it? Are there, is it treatable? How do you go around, maneuvering it with regards to treating it and really controlling it, so to speak?
Okay, I can't boldly say ukuthi it's treatable.
Okay.
Kuyashiyashiyana ngemuntu. Kunebantu lokhanza ukuthi batalwa nayo epilepsy. Ezibakhula bayi-outgrow with the correct use of i-medication yabo laba prescribe yona mhlambe esibhedlela. Kanza ukuthi baya-outgrow nje complete. Yes. La ngakithi siye sithi nakusho ukuthi kutawuphela iminyaka mhlawumbe le mibili ungakake wa experience i-seizure. Sesingasho sithi okay, i-epilepsy yakho you are now free from epileptic seizures, but kukhona lapho siye sithi do take the precautions abo ungadiyekeleli. Yes, qhubeka uthathe the necessary precautions ngoba asathi mhlambe ingabuya after some years yabo.
Unoseningizimu sibonga kakhulu isikhathi sakho ukusijoyina kakusile breakfast show lo mohla si appreciate kakhulu lawo ma insights lawo ngendlela nje losichazele ngayo you broke it down to the sense ukuthi nemuntu longeke vena amagama lamakhulu ayasetshenziswa labo neuro sarcoidosis lobashilo usiphindze wasichazela ukuthi kusho ukuthini lokho lokho ke siyaku appreciate lo mhla esense ethembe ukuthi nababukele emakhaya bak appreciateile so tabane lisuku loluhle siyeva ukuthi intaba nemsebenzini lomhlalo tawubuka i-care and support ka epilepsy imsebenzi solomchubeka nayo sinifisela ihlandla ngena kulo msebenzi loyo. Ngilungelo myeni uqhamuka lapha ka Eswatini Epilepsy Organization sichazele njengabantu ngayo i-condition ye-epilepsy. Yeah, solo nje siyakukhuta kubita i-epilepsy ngesifo bekunene akusiso sifo simo lesi futhi sithi siyalwa naso stigma lesikhona uyaveta ke lo ukuthi emisebenzini sesekhonyana le stigma uvetile ke ukuthi kanjani naloko sithi asekulahleni ngelifastelo bonkhosi bantu labo bafana nathi asihlale nabo. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, 13 degrees Celsius lesese kuye sibhekile ukuthi lisuku saqhubeka sigcine siku 22 degrees Celsius. A very good morning to you asibahlolet market sabuya sibuke indaba desingisi.
Ujala masada mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho sibile sive sithi khulumeni.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sende ukukhicita lokhu sekungeni.
News at 7. The Honorable Prime Minister, or rather the Honorable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Prince Longokela, says the government is currently reviewing land management legislations. The minister was speaking in Parliament when delivering the ministry's annual performance report for the year 2023 to 2024 financial year.
In a Senate Portfolio Committee that is chaired by Senator Chief Ngomendla Ngamandla, the Honorable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Prince Longokela, delivered his preamble on the annual performance of the ministry, where senators debated the report.
As well, the mining board, which is siyayibona seyashukuma mining board, siyadumisa esihlalo esihloniphekile, siyathemba ke esihlalo esihloniphekile ukuthi due diligence iyendiwa, singabi nezinkampani esathi kunikwa umsebenzi ubhawubhe sibona ngathi sekuphelele 10.
Sathi ke sikunalo libandla lephasi kwelitulo lemvuna lembuke kona kusebenza nekuphathwa komhlaba ukuthi ngabe lo mthetho wekusebenza kwabo ini litiko liyacabanga ukuthi vele sake ucala ubalwa bakhona ukuthi eParliament ukuthi ukhona ukuthi iParliament ukhulisa uphansi.
Now uthi ukwenza bayimhlaba uvele ubethe inyembethe inzaba yemhlaba. Ngoba umhlaba ngathi kuligugu ngathi linjani. So ayijika nje waba imali. Now uthi awubuka umhlaba ndawubekisa nje la dolobheni bekunemhlaba wahulumende. Emphakathi buta kusina iParliament noma ukuthi umthetho yini. Kunemhlaba leminingi lesiyajika abayibantu.
The Honorable Minister then gave some responses to the committee.
Vele umhlaba seyinwele kakhulu. Unjalo nje awu expand. Osho sikeke vele ufanele unako. Ukhuluma ke ngemthetho ukuthi kepha lo mthetho logavulisha lo mhlaba kahle ukuze kungabi nidihlupheko lelikhona lamuhla. Ngingasho ngithi sijalo lo mthetho lo ukhona. Kusho sinjenyalo sesigabeni sekuthi siubuyise kulomnyaka ungakapheli ukuze kusebenteke kuyembili. Indzaba tema concessions vele nakhona lapho kusemele ukuthi sekathathwe onke lamaplus lawa la ngama concessions sikhathi sawo lamaningi lesiphelile.
With the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy, the Senate concluded the budget and annual performance report debate. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgaswe Koza, Parliament.
Finance Minister Neil Reichenbach has tabled before the House of Senate the 2024-2025 supplementary appropriation bill of worth 500 billion emalangeni. The minister said some of the funds will respond to financial challenges faced by the University of Eswatini.
When the Senate officially convened for parliamentary work on Tuesday, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Neil Reichenbach, tabled the supplementary appropriation bill of 2024 worth $500 million emalangeni. The Minister of Finance delivered before the House his preamble on the bill.
Even though we are saying we're requesting this as additional budget, which normally we don't do, normally we realign in the budget totally. But at the same time, every year so far, we've underspent every year on our main budget. And we still feel strongly that even though we are requesting an increase of about $500 million emalangeni, that the normal savings in the annual budget should be enough and sufficient to cover that. So it shouldn't actually ultimately mean additional funding.
The Honorable Senate then debated the bill.
You're saying that this needs to be done. I'm sure government is well able. Let's open up where it needs to be open up so that the people can feel that, government is working.
It's the money there is going to go directly and finance the supplementary.
The Honorable Minister of Finance, Neil Reichenbach, then responded to the debate.
There's a bigger amount, by the way, Madam President, still outstanding in Palala 1 years of over 100 million. actually outstanding in Palala, but at the same time, we could only reallocate a certain amount, which will take care of the emergency in Palala. But arrears. There are still arrears that will remain in Palala. Then clarity also on the 22 million for UNISA, Madam President, and that is that I was saying that it follows industrial action. It's not necessarily financing industrial action. Technicality there. And so, Madam President, what we have found, and that is the university is battling. I think, as the Senator puts it, we really have a university in elements of dire straits. Even their finances has been very difficult. They have now been paying their PAYE up to date. That is one thing which I can really commend them for. The PAYE, as we stand here, it reached $1 billion at some stage. We wrote off that money on condition that they pay it on time, they're paying it on time. So there's elements of health starting to show in UNISA, but at the same time, they were just absolutely short. They got to the end of the year.
The Honourable Minister then moved that the Senate move the bill to the Committee of the Whole House on Wednesday to pass the bill into an act. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samka Zwekoza, Parliament.
The Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, says Eswatini is still on the right track on honey production. Now, the minister was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Sydney Simelane. This was during the Agriculture for Forests Ecosystems Conservation Workshop that was held at the George Hotel in Manzini.
The meeting with farmers has been financially supported by the Center for Coordination of Agricultural Research for Southern Africa, CADESA. The meeting will help in the identification of current priority issues that are needed for apiculture and forestry. The Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Mandla Chauka, who was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Sydney Simelane, says for apiculture to be sustainable, environmental health is key.
Lujuke singalusebenzisa locally njengemaswati phindze futhi silu export. Kodwa lesikutfolile ukuthi nasi exporter kuba ne-returns lamahle kakhulu ngoba lamave lasathuthukile sekanana indzaba ye-pollution. So letinyosi noma loluju lwabo lugcina selu-polluted lungasabi mnanzi njengalolu wakithi.
This has been done in conjunction with the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs. Mbegeni Nxumalo, the senior forest officer, pleads with the Maswati to desist from cutting down trees and burning them.
Trees sustain bees and bees sustain trees. Without trees, there wouldn't be food for bees. Trees are therefore important in honey production. Forest fires are a major problem because they kill the economy and apiculture as a whole. We plead with Eswatini to desist from burning trees.
Dr. Clifford Dlamini spoke on behalf of CADESA, saying with the aim of enriching apiculture production, they saw the need to financially support such a workshop.
We are happy that Eswatini were the first to host such a symposium. We have invited other countries, including Botswana, who are here. The same event will be held there not long from now. So they are here to benchmark and see how far have Eswatini come in as far as apiculture is concerned.
Perfeni Vilagati, a beekeeper, applauds such a workshop.
I am happy that all stakeholders are here. This is gratifying. We have come a long way pushing for the recognition of apiculture. We are happy that the Forestry Department partnered with the Ministry of Agriculture and beekeepers to map a way forward and to ensure that apiculture is supported.
According to a study that was conducted in the year 2023, about 70.2 were male apiculture farmers. The symposium will end on the 28th this month. For Eswatini TV News, I am Kian Msibi with Smuva Shongwe, Manzini.
The Royal Eswatini National Airways Corporation says they will take lessons learned and incorporate them into Eswatini Air strategic plan to ensure further value creation for all their stakeholders. Now, this was said by RENAC acting CEO on the first anniversary of Eswatini Air.
The first Eswatini Air Embraer ERJ-145 made its maiden takeoff on March 26 last year, connecting the Kingdom of Eswatini to the world, which was a historical moment for Eswatini, as the Embraer is a flag carrier for the Kingdom of Eswatini. In an interview with the Royal Eswatini National Airways Corporation acting CEO Ndumiso Shongwe, celebrating their first anniversary, he appreciated Eswatini for the support and shared future development plans for the airline.
And we are currently strategizing on how to keep our birds in the sky. There are a lot of things that we have learned in this year, and we have been able to sustain ourselves and keep the birds in the sky because of the support and loyalty of Eswatini, who have supported us, and other business people who have supported us by flying with us and making sure that we are always in the sky. So moving forward, we are looking at diversifying our products and services with a view to ensure that we remain sustainable and we remain in the sky. We are looking at venturing into a cargo operation. We are looking at insourcing some of the activities that sustain the airline, like maintenance. We want to do it internally. We are looking at other services that we can insource to make sure that we reduce the cost and maintain the birds in the sky. When we initiated this project, we informed the nation and informed the government in particular that this airline will be in an incubation phase for at least up to 3 years, where then we can expect to break even and be self-sustainable. We laid those cards on the table, but I cannot say today that we are not making anything. We are, through the support of Eswatini, who are choosing to fly with us, which we encourage very much. And we will remain sustainable and be in the sky carrying the Swazi flag.
Since the launch last year, the two Embraers made 2,124 flights with 28,000 customers to 4 destinations, which is Cape Town, Harare, Johannesburg, and Durban. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Swekwaza, Babane.
And on international news, Russia launched missiles against Kyiv for the 3rd time in 5 days and also targeted other regions on Monday as Moscow escalated its aerial bombardment of Ukrainian cities, while the front line in the war remains largely stationary.
The wail of ambulances rang out in the streets of Kyiv after a series of explosions hit the Ukrainian capital. In the Peshersky district, entire buildings were gutted by the blast, leaving rescuers to search the rubble for survivors, while shell-shocked residents still tried to process what happened.
I heard the siren, and before I could do anything, the first explosion hit. There was a cloud of dust, smashed cars, broken glass everywhere.
Everything will be fine. We're alive. That's what matters. We need to trust that all will be fine.
At least 10 people were injured in the attack, the 3rd one to hit the Ukrainian capital in just 5 days. And when the air sirens rang out again later on Monday, panicked civilians scrambled to take shelter in a nearby metro station.
We heard that the explosions this morning took place just after the air raid siren sounded. Everyone was scared and no one had time to take over.
With combat on the front lines having largely stalled in recent months, Moscow has begun escalating its aerial bombardment campaign against Ukrainian cities. Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday issued fresh calls for international allies to provide Kyiv with more weapons, especially air defense systems, to help counter Moscow's incursions. But he may have to be patient, as the U.S. Congress kicked off a 2-week recess on Monday without approving a $60 billion military aid package for Ukraine.
Israeli troops battled Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip on Tuesday, with no sign of let-up in the wars despite a United Nations Security Council resolution which demands an immediate ceasefire.
A UN resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip was small consolation to the displaced Gazans in Rafah.
We hope that this time Israel will implement it, because every time they tell us, on Friday, on Saturday, there'll be a ceasefire and there isn't. By God, we're fed up of blood spilling and death and martyrs and destruction. This has gone on for 6 months and everything's the same.
Israel doesn't care about UN Security Council resolutions, the General Assembly, the International Court of Justice. It defies the whole international community.
Israel continued its airstrikes in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza City and Rafah on Monday, as well as its ongoing offensives on various hospitals in Gaza City and Khan Yunis. Hospitals, Israel say, have become Hamas bases. Residents who live near Al-Shifa Hospital have described corpses in the street and constant bombardment. And as aid lorries enter Gaza at only 30% of pre-war levels, very little reaches the north of the Strip, and those remaining in Gaza City risk their lives to procure meagre amounts of food from airdrops.
The situation is tragic. No food, no water. It's a famine. What can we do? They mock us by giving us this small can of tuna. People are dying just to get a can of tuna that doesn't even cost a quarter.
Civilians have already been killed in airdrop operations, while a third of the Strip's population is on the brink of famine.
A major bridge collapsed in Baltimore, blocking one of the busiest U.S. commercial harbors after a heavily laden cargo ship lost power and smashed into a support column. This was despite desperate attempts to stop in time.
When the onboard crew lost control of a cargo vessel, cars and people plummeted 56 meters into the bitingly cold waters of the Patapsco River.
At about 01:50 hours, our first unit arrived on scene and reported a complete collapse of the key bridge. We were also given information at that time that there were likely multiple people on the bridge at the time of the collapse, and that as a result, multiple people were in the water.
Soon after leaving Baltimore Harbour for its 27-day voyage to Colombo, Sri Lanka, crew members on board the Singaporean-flagged Dali alerted shipping authorities that they were experiencing a power issue. Indeed, CCTV footage shows the lights on the container ship seemingly flicker on and off in the moments before it crashed into one of the supports of the nearly 50-year-old four-lane steel bridge. Authorities say contractors were working on the bridge at the time, but other traffic was stopped when the distress signal was sent up.
We're thankful that between the Mayday and the collapse that we had officials who were able to begin to stop the flow of traffic, so more cars were not up on the bridge.
The multi-agency search and rescue operation is ongoing, both on the surface of the water, underwater and on the ship itself, while the governor has declared a state of emergency in order to mobilize federal resources. Baltimore Harbour is one of the smaller ports of the northeastern seaboard, handling 265,000 containers in the fourth quarter of last year. Shipping in and out of the port was suspended following the incident.
The United States, Britain and New Zealand have accused Beijing-backed cyber groups of being behind a series of attacks against lawmakers and key democratic institutions, allegations that prompted angry Chinese denials.
Beijing stands accused of conducting a years-long campaign of hacking of Western countries, targeting politicians, journalists and businesses. The US charged 7 Chinese nationals on Monday with hacking, targeting perceived critics of China and US businesses and politicians. The UK also announced sanctions against 2 hackers and a Chinese front company linked to the cyber espionage group APT31 for hacking the country's electoral commission.
This is the latest in a clear pattern of hostile activity originating in China, including the targeting of democratic institutions and parliamentarians in the United Kingdom and beyond.
Critics of China inside the British Parliament say it is time for Western countries to take the perceived Chinese threat seriously.
The West has to wake up to the fact this is a challenge to the very way that we live our lives, to our belief in democracy, human rights, freedom of expression, freedom of worship.
On Tuesday, New Zealand also said another Chinese hacking group identified as APT40 was behind attacks on computers linked to its parliamentary network.
Our analysis enabled us to confidently link the actor to the People's Republic of China, specifically the Ministry of State Security. This link has been reinforced by analysis from international partners of similar events in their own jurisdictions.
Beijing said it had launched démarches against the US and the UK in response to the allegations and urged both countries not to politicise national security issues. France's budget deficit overshot forecasts in 2023.
Official figures showed this on Tuesday, undermining President Emmanuel Macron's pledge to bring national finances back on track within the next 4 years.
The French government hit with an accounting shock Tuesday as the country's budget deficit, the difference between incoming revenues and spending outlays, was revealed to have hit 154 billion euros in 2023, 5.5% of total economic output. A major and very rare shortfall, one that France's Minister of Public Accounts blamed primarily on falling tax receipts.
We lost more than 20 billion euros in receipts, billions in social security charges, corporate taxes, sales taxes.
The Macron administration insists it won't be raising taxes to restore fiscal balance. Instead, it's planned 10 billion euros in spending cuts already this year, with more likely to come as it tries to bring the deficit down to its 4.4% target for 2024. But such austerity policies risk further weighing on France's already anemic economic growth. Opposition lawmakers, and even some from Macron's own party, are calling for a debate on the subject. Economists say such a wide deficit gap will be difficult to close without a tax hike.
When we take the budget situation and the goal of very quickly bringing the deficit down to 3% in a very low growth environment, it will be hard to avoid looking at taxes.
2023's shortfall risks weighing on 2024 and beyond via higher borrowing costs. France's overall public debt, at just over 3 trillion euros, more than 110% of GDP, makes it Europe's third most indebted country behind only Greece and Italy. Paris has committed to getting back to the EU's official annual deficit limit of 3% by 2027.
Boeing announced a leadership shake-up headlined by the departure of CEO Dave Calhoun as the aviation giant faces heavy scrutiny following safety incidents as well as the manufacturing issues they've had over the few recent weeks.
It's a major leadership shake-up for embattled aerospace giant Boeing as it fights to rebuild its scorched reputation. The company's CEO, Dave Calhoun, will step down by the year-end, with top executives Larry Kellner and Stan Deal also leaving.
We will remain squarely focused on completing the work we have done together to return our company to stability after the extraordinary challenges of the past 5 years, with safety and quality at the forefront of everything that we do.
The plane maker's full-blown safety crises kick-started in 2018 when a Boeing 737 MAX aircraft plunged into Indonesia's Java Sea shortly after takeoff, with no survivors. Just 6 months later, the death toll reached 346 when another 737 MAX went down in Ethiopia. The aftermath saw Boeing change leadership as its MAX family jets were globally grounded for 2 years, as the crashes were caused by an error in its MCAS stabilizing system. Late last year, Boeing urged airlines to conduct inspections of its 737 MAX jets after a bolt with a missing nut was discovered on 2 aircraft during routine checks. January saw the most recent black eye for Boeing's quality control when the cabin panel of a brand new 737 MAX blew out at nearly 5,000 feet, leaving a gaping hole in the plane. Later revealed by a National Safety Board probe to have been due to 4 crucial missing bolts in the door plug. According to the New York Times this month, air safety regulators at the FAA found dozens of problems in the 737 MAX's production after a 6-week manufacturing audit. Boeing is facing legal action from passengers as well as a criminal probe into the incident.
Britain's High Court has ruled the United States must guarantee that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange will not get the death penalty if he is extradited to the United States on espionage charges. Now, Assange's lawyers are fighting to allow a full appeal against his extradition.
2 judges on Britain's High Court said Tuesday they had decided to defer judgment on whether the WikiLeaks founder can appeal against his extradition to the United States. They said the US must first guarantee that Assange, who is Australian, is afforded the same First Amendment protections as a United States citizen and that the death penalty is not imposed. If those guarantees aren't forthcoming in the next 3 weeks, the judges said they would allow an appeal to go ahead. Assange's supporters urged the US to drop the case.
My impression is that the court is tying itself in knots to find basically passing the buck to the US government. And inviting it to contradict its own case in order to wave through his extradition.
We've got provisional permission to appeal on 3 grounds. On the fact that he would not be permitted to rely on the First Amendment, the risk that he'd be exposed to the death penalty, and the risk that he'll be discriminated against on the grounds that he's Australian. The court has called for what they want, satisfactory assurances to protect him against that. We say there's no such satisfactory assurance.
Julian Assange has spent the past 5 years in Britain's maximum security Belmarsh prison. He faces 18 US federal charges relating to allegations of hacking and theft of classified material. In 2010, WikiLeaks published a trove of stolen diplomatic cables from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, which Assange said exposed abuses by the United States military. US government lawyers say the material was stolen and Assange's actions put the lives of informants at risk. Assange's supporters say he was doing his job as a journalist, exposing information in the public interest, and say the charges are politically motivated.
The Espionage Act itself lacks a public interest defense, which means that Julian Assange cannot get a fair trial because he cannot defend the basis of his actions as being in the public interest. And we do believe that the publication of these materials was in the public interest. It informed journalism around the world that exposed war crimes and human rights violations, crimes that themselves have never been prosecuted.
The judges said a hearing would be held on May 20th if the court receives the requested guarantees from the United States.
As American journalist Ivan Gaskovich marks 1 year in a Russian prison, his family and his colleagues fight for his release.
In a Moscow courtroom, American journalist Ivan Gaskovich is told he will spend another 3 months behind bars. But U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Lynn Tracy, says it is time for Moscow to let Gaskovich go.
The Russian government has yet to present any evidence to substantiate its accusations. No justification for Evan's continued detention, and no explanation as to why Evan, doing his job as a journalist, constituted a crime.
Ever since his arrest on assignment in a city about 1,600 kilometers east of Moscow on March 29 last year, his family and colleagues have been pushing for the Wall Street Journal reporter's release. The past year has been a constant stream of interviews, news briefings, and private meetings, including with President Joe Biden. Holding back tears, Danielle Gaskovich describes the toll on the family and the letters that she writes to keep her brother company.
I think we're just mainly trying to support one another and make each other laugh. And I'm just in awe of him.
Russia accuses Gaskovich of espionage, charges that he and his paper deny. Moscow courts repeatedly denied him bail, even as the U.S. declares him wrongfully detained. The general counsel for his media outlet says the legal process is opaque. They must wait for Russia to say when the case can move forward.
And at some point they will pivot to say, okay, the investigation's done and we can do a trial. We just don't know when that will be.
For the family, the waiting is hard.
Yeah, of course we follow the news every day, but it can be just up and down emotionally. So it's just best to just continue to stay focused on this eventual goal and just take it day by day.
If convicted, Gaskovich could face up to 20 years in prison. But he is not the only American journalist detained in Russia. Alsu Kurmasheva, an editor for VOA's sister network RFE-RL, has spent more than 5 months in prison. The American-Russian journalist faces multiple charges, including failing to register as a foreign agent. If convicted, she could face up to 15 years in prison. In Gorshkovich's case, his media company says lawyers inside Russia keep them updated as much as possible.
And they're great, brave lawyers. There's a limit in what they can say because of the nature of the charges. They're just not allowed to talk about it, given the nature of alleged espionage, which we think, again, is bogus. But those are the nature of the charges, and so they're really not able to talk much about the substance of the case.
When American TV personality Tucker Carlson interviewed President Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader implied that Moscow would be willing to free Gorshkovich in exchange of a convicted killer held in Germany. Since then, there have been no public updates on the diplomatic negotiations. Meanwhile, even Gorshkovich's family, friends, and colleagues keep hoping for his prompt release, amplifying his case to the world, highlighting that when authorities in Russia or any country detain a journalist, it has a chilling effect. Foreign media may leave, local reporters may self-censor, and audiences are left in the dark.
And in sports news, Eswatini and Somalia drew with a 2-2 score in the second leg of the African Confederations preliminary round for the AFCON qualifiers 2025. Sihlangu progresses with a 5-2 aggregate score, and the game was played in Mbombela, South Africa.
Sihlangu came to the game high in confidence after beating Somalia 3-0 in the first leg of the qualifiers. The game started differently, though, as Somalia was the better team. In the first half, they created some good opportunities to take the lead, but they couldn't convert them. And Sihlangu also had their chances, which they did not use. It was in the second half where Sihlangu came out of their shells and scored their first goal to Sabelon Zinisa after a mistake from the Somalian defense. Just when Somalia had not recovered from the goal, Bongoma Tebula scored another one for Eswatini to make it 5-0 on aggregate. That goal appeared to wake up Somalia as they put some extra effort, which resulted in a goal. It was only towards the end of the match that Somalia scored their second goal of the match to force the game to finish 2-2 on the day and 5-2 on aggregate. Eswatini will now wait for the draw to know who they will be playing against in the AFCON qualifiers 2025 that will be played in Morocco. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo MC with Mfanafuti Bembe, Mbombela, South Africa.
We'll go for a net break. When we return, Linton Gule speaks to Ndumiso Shong, where he is the acting CEO with Eswatini Air.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sithi khulumeni.
Bukela saza kulela umsakazo wakho ngomsakazo Thithombe Eswatini TV siku Wednesday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show. Siyakwemukela la sanza kuzivulela. Ngisithena ngibuka nje umlandvo kwabakhona bamhle ngibashayelako bake basebenta etindizeni la eSwatini. Basi kwaye kwathuma indiza ngalomunye iminyaka 1917 nangaphosisi. Basi bengadiwa lokuthi buyaphi futhi beyaphi. Kwasinga 1918 kwaba nendiza bathi iyalenda niye eMbabane. I don't know where about in Mbabane kepha nje niye eMbabane. Basi ke lendiza ngasi beshayelwa ngolomnye Major Miller. Kwasinga 1952 wacelwa kumbe Major Miller ukuthi ingabe airport ingakhiwa ku private wa identify ke Mathapha ukuthi ingakhiwa ku Mathapha. Early 1960s yaseke nembala ya commissioner indiza basi beyihamba iye eThekwini, Johannesburg na Mozambique. Bekungithene emalangeni kuhamba kuleso sikhathi. Fast forward 26 March 2023 Eswatini Air takes off for the first time. Kulomnyaka wa 2024 siya celebrate sokusita celebrate akuze kuyophela lo mnyaka. Ngiyajabula ke bonke singithule babeshongwe acting CEO lobukeke yona lo msebenzi lo babeshonga sikuvusele sikwamukele namhla ekseni ngoba thine singemaswati. One thing lesengifunzile emhlabeni wonke jikelele is to appreciate and celebrate my achievements again. How excited are you ngalokuthi seneminyaka Eswatini asesibhakabhakeni?
Awu siyabonga kakhulu Gule, siyabonga kusemukela ehlelweni. Sibonga nesive semaswati lesisolo sisupporta kusuka saqala lo msebenzi. Singapane sijabule kakhulu ukuthi size celebrate namhla itolo be celebrate 1 year in the sky without any incidents, without any accidents. Si operate a very safe operation. Sijabula kakhulu kufika kule sigaba lesi kakhulu Gule.
Si celebrate nje babeshonga ngiyatlo ukuthi tibekhona tinsaya letikhona nema achievements abekhona futhi njengoba usho nje usisebenzele ngaphandle kwale ma incidents lasiteni ngawungena kuyo le kepha ke ngisafuna kubuka ukuthi ingabe nanibuka emuva ngikuphi la nicabanga ukuthi khona nokusithiye lo siyawathikha la mabhokisi lawa probably we can use lo kuya chubekele empini.
Siyabonga Gule. Kulomnyaka lesisebenzile sifundzela okunyende. Ikakhulu nasaqala sidibene ingcinamba lapha nalapha but sakhona ukuthi ngikubambisana na regulator wethu lokungiswakha nekubambisana nalamanye ama partners lesinawo sakhona ukuthi incoba kungakona isibona solo sisemoyeni kusuke kuze kube nginamuhla.
Ayagibela ini lamaswati la khazendise.
Yey Gule sesifuna kubonga lokukhulu kakhulu eMaswatini nakulabanye bosomabhizinisi lesihlala nabo la ekhaya. Indiza yethu iyasebenta iyawalayisha eMaswati nalabanye labahlala la eVeni bayahamba baya eCape Town, bayahamba baya eJozi, baya eHarare, baya eDurban. Bayasupporta kakhulu sive siyabonga kakhulu esiveni seMaswati kulolu support lenkaka.
Kunenzaba ke babeshonge yetikhwama eMaswati la sisasebenzisa le ndiza ayithinze ukuthi athi ayagongonyeka ngisebenzisa nje lelo gama lelo ukuthi nakasuka nje kwaze senqe yekhinya lo muntu afine nakafika eJozi aphinza aqalele phasi alanze isikhwama sakhe kanti kulamanye ama airlines uyibona ngazo sivele ngiyawudibana nasembili ikuplan saye lapho neusindendane kukulungisa.
Siyabonga kakhulu Gule. Kungaba vele kucondzisa lo eMaswatini nekuqolisa eMaswatini onke ama airlines nakasaqala kusebenta ukhanze ukuthi labanye ama airlines lekufuna ukuthi mhlawumbe ufake leti khwama kito ukuthi udibane naso lo yakhona adinga ukuthi akwethembe ukuthi ngabe ama systems akho particularly safety security aku standard lesingiso yini ukuthi singakhona kwemukela lesikhwama sakho lana ngabe vele ama processes zakho a safe kanganani ukuthi sawuthatha lesikhwama salendiza lesafika ingabe ama systems a safe kanganani. Baye bafune ukuthi ungase basebenta bakubona
nesi babeshona nasikhulumela lama systems ngoba sizive silemenye ama airports lamakhulu sekuboshwe abantu batholakala mhlawumbe netitsaka ngingwaphi lama systems la lafunekayo.
Sikhuluma lapha ngekuscreena quality khwama sikhulume ngekuseshwa quality khwama ukuthi tikhone ukuthi cha nyalo sethi sterile ukuthi sethi ngangena endizeni so bafuna ukubona usebenda ukubona bakubona bakuthembe bese kuba na international air transport organization le bese yeta itokuchecka ito-audita ukuthi vele lama systems akho akahle bese ikunika i-certification lesithi IOSA certification. Once you get that IOSA certification ngulapho ke asilamanye ama airlines cha
uyasebenza le airline ama systems ayo akahle na iyathi sovumile ukuthi cha vele ama systems akahle sebayakwethemba then ngulapho sebakhona ukwemukela bakunike ama interline agreements bakunike bo co-chair agreement kuba ngilapho lapho usebenza khona singapane Eswatini Air we are in the middle of that certification process. Currently, we have on the ground ema experts leswacele usatosibambisa silive to try and meet the requirements ale certification. We are almost 90% there. Once sayicetha sithembise ukuthi mhlambe kutawushaya August sesingenile kule certification process sesiyiqedile. After that eMaswati atawukhululeka utawukhona ukuthatha isikhwama sakho sifake la eKing Mswati International Airport udibane naseKenya nangabe uye eKenya noma uya kupla uya khona. Kodwa angicacise naku Gule. Akhona ema airlines la sibonile sisebenza lasakasethemba lesi singabe uhamba ngayo leyo airline leyo possible ukuthi isikhwama sakho ungavela ukuyodibana naso la ukhona khona lamanye amaswati angafakaza nje ukuthi asagibela la kithi ahamba dibane isikhwama tawo kungako lokuthi solo sizama kona ukukhulumisana lamanye ama airlines for this relationship itoqhubeka
Dizabakele timnansi bongosi lesebalo emaswati onke nje lasebenzisa yona Eswatini nalaba satayisebenzisa bayathokota ngato we need to celebrate that milestone neuthi ke babeshonga bayachaza baka aviation ukuthi le Africa nje inayo le potential for growth le aviation space kepha kusenet insayele titsite sitekanza baye safety kuthiwa lokungenani ngeminyaka nje ingodi etileka la eAfrica tindizeni 9 times on average 9 times more than the world average sine siba seswatini so kulo 12 months dona asikake nabisa nevanibika ukuthi sekwendeka ingodi kanje yini lenikwenda kancane
siyabonga kakhulu vele isafety of the passengers and of the operation is #1 priority. Nawubekisa vele la emhlabeni tingoti letinyenti tiba khona eAfrica but sithi Eswatini Air sitimisele ukuthi akungendeke eSwatini lokho siphakamise ama standards kakhulu in terms of safety na ku security kuthi ngoba letinye tingoti tiba mhlambe ukuthi ama security systems enu akasiko sharp so that bese kungena into letingakhona kubanga ingodi endizeni kungako siphakamisa lelizinga la eku safety na security nase ku maintenance because nana lelenye imbangela yetingoti mhlambe ukuthi bese uyacekisa la ku maintenance letindiza takho we have zero tolerance for substandard ku maintenance equipment yethu lesisebenzisako to try and avoid any accident or incidents ku Eswatini Air.
Nembala iphinzelenye indzaba ngifuna ukuthi ungene kuyo babesho ngendaba yema delays ngoba siyesive kula sekumenyothe imibhobheni siwa lendiza zibanibani utawudelay ngesikhathi lesingaka ingabe la ngake khanze ukuthi umuntu mhlambe sekuyamkhinya beda kule schedule yakhe elihamba uthi nenda njani mhlambe to minimize that
kuna naku lesithi on time performance sing Eswatini Air our on-time performance currently stands at 97%. Lokusho ukuthi ema delays lesibenawo solo sasaqala is only 3%. Nakhona lawo ma delays lawo are attributable to mhlambe iweather. Ukuthi weather lapho sibheka khona ayivumi ukuthi singasuka la ngoba siye sinasuka la nakufuna sibe sesathi la siya khona ukume njani. So siye simele ukuthi mhlambe clearish la siya khona bese siya delay ke ngala. Phinze lokunye khanze ukuthi cha mhlambe indiza yethu khona la besite inzathi khona maintenance events kuba khona naleyo delay le cause ngiloko but so far our delays are very minimum. We are at 97% on time performance. But now Maswati na kumbula solo suku lomnyaka nje wa 2024 we have not had any delay. Solo sisebenza kahle kakhulu. Lenye I terminology lekhona siye schedule integrity ngoba now publish a schedule ukuthi this is your schedule expectation ukuthi you will have 100% schedule integrity umuntu lo bhuke ngoba lithikithi uyalibhuka nami kuyogibela ngaDecember kufuna ukuthi umuntu noma ngobhuke ngasiphi isikhathi le schedule integrity yale airline ibe very high so that kungadoba nema delays bani bayahlela ukuhamba kwabo baplan ukuthi bayohamba nini encenye une connecting flight le kufanele ukuthi le airline yethu iqhubeke iperform according to the published schedule.
Bokosi babe shongwe ngena acting CEO lapha endasike kampani libuke le tindiza kanti ke ngiyajabula ukuthi uya interactive la kulolu hlelo Kusile breakfast show babe shongwe Maswati ayigibela le ndiza le ngiyabona nje la ukuthi le kaZandodo kuna babeshiba la uthi babeshiba angikubuthe lokuthi ingabe iApp itawuba nini ngidazi ngikhona nje ukutendela le tinto tami ngihledi ekhaya.
Siyabonga kakhulu kukhona nyalo sisebenzisa ku website uyakhona ukubhuka lithikithi ubhadale uthole ngisho ne boarding pass ukhethe ne seat ukuthi ufuna ukuhlala ku seat number bani la kule booking engine yethu ku possible lo kukhona ke naleseba engagile to develop something like WhatsApp la ukhona ukuthi uvele usebenzele khona la kule WhatsApp app ukhona ukubhuka ukhona ukubhadala ukhona konke manje ke ma systems asasethwa to try and interface with our systems but into leselihlelweni babeshiba
no so Semba ke sisovile khona lenye indzaba lekhona babeshongela indzaba ukuthi bathi la eAfrica we need to improve ku soft infrastructure na ku hard infrastructure when it comes to the hard infrastructure part sime njani siba seSwatini
Eswatini ngicabanga ukuthi sime kahle iairport yethu isezingeni lemhlaba netindiza tethu time kahle neequipment lesiyisebenzisako on the ground to service ema passenger ethu kuphulaja ikhwama nani cabanga ukuthi sime kahle eSwatini sime kahle impela
siyethemba ngalelinye ilanga ngoba ngeke ngeva lo ukuthi leyo ndiza nje beyala khaya akhona nemaswati la khona la sa ayishayela indiza leSwatini semba babeshongwe one day will facilitate kube kusisibe nalo mshayeli walendiza lelinye ilanga sibe nayo la stova lo sinakahamba lesibhakabhakeni kuba njani abuka nendalo ngabe akondekile bese sofuna nekuthandaza kanti ushayele lendiza kuyeke kwenza baye ukuthi kunema cost abasetulu kakhulu mhlambe grant airline fuel cost are expensive sineke sibuke baka Minister of Natural Resources bakhipha imbiko so iliter unleaded petrol tabangaka ngabe nasikhuluma ngalo petrol wale tindiza lekuswa uyadula umuphi babesho ngile simlayinela lapha kule titeshi tetimoto yini
cha siyabonga kakhulu angicale nganayo lo iteka kwema pilots lamaswati maswati lamahle sinemaswati la shayela ko tindiza deliver afundzele ama experts ayakhona kuhamba noma ngikuphi emhlabeni akhona nalamancane la khona la lesawa developer siwafaka ku-cadet program masinyane kungakapheli isikhathi esinganani uyawuthi uyafika ukhanze sekushayele emaswati odwana amaswati atimisele lamanye besingawadi nekuthi akhona sesithi siyeva sebashaya incingo ngiliswati ngipilot kuphi ngisekhongo seyibuya ekhaya usebenza nathi tindiza deliver setkhona impela akhona emaswati kubuya kulena ya fuel cost is a major cost ku operating nje kwendiza kodwa akusuye lo fuel lesimlayinela engine laseGulf simbida ngejet fuel jet fuel ucishe uya ngakuparafini na uvale texture yawo it's a special type of fuel but vele uyabida uyena ke awusi regulated i-Ministry of Natural Resources nje ide ukuthi ngakhipha ukuthi namhla jet one fuel ungumalini i-price yakhona isethwa ama-market demands but comparing to lo fuel esimsebenzisa imoto entethu ucheaper per liter ngoba nasibuka namhla imoto lesidetha maybe nga-22 emalangeni iliter lona uba kubo 14-15 mane it's the quantities lesiwasebenzisako makhulu akufani nokwetha imoto uyethe 200 uhambe kamanzini ubuye lana sikhuluma ngemaliters indiza mhlambe kusuka lana iyeJozi itakuthathela nje noma 10,000 liters yes ngiko le cost enkulu kakhulu so siyazama singabhane to try and contain the cost lapho semkhanza ushiphe khona encenye ushiphe eJozi namuhla sifike sigcwalise sikhona ukuthi nasifika lapha sikhona kuye kuqhubeka nalenye indlela ngoba nje maswati vele kulokukhona fuel usidulele la khaya than la kuma destinations lamanye lesiya khona. Uyokhanze kuseJozi uthola cheaper, eHarare uthola cheaper, na eDurban uthola cheaper. La khaya sikungcono kukhona lesafuna sesekulungise in terms of the fuel cost.
Bese ukhanze senetha le.
Uyokhanze ukuthi sesivele sithi asimane sigcwalise la ushiphe khona.
Nembala le indzaba la ngifuna ukuthi ngingene kuyo lena bathi producer wami uthi ngibabenza abanzaba ya nami sengiyambona nzaba nzaba ingabe kutake kube khona into yokuthi kube neti usenhlangano
usenhlangano
akhanze singifune asuke enhlangano itela kaManzini uyathi nakafika kaManzini utafika khanze isibhasanyana mhlambe Eswatini siyangithatha siyongibeka esikhuphe amine KM3 uthi engabe in the long term plan siyagcina sifikile endleleni enjalo noma vele umuntu uyadzinga ukuthi athole ibhayisikile liyawombeka le ndasento.
Awu siyabonga amaswathi lamahle kuloko sesiyakulungisa bese ngoba inhloso yethu ukuthi si-empower nalamaswathi lamanye lala ekhaya particularly la transport industry kube ngiwo la provider le service kulamaswathi si tenderishile I think sesiyayivala nje tender process kunababili lesivele siba identifyile lekungibo between the two of them masinyane kufuneka bayabaqala sitjeleke ukuthi umuntu nakathenga le ticket engcenye sivele siyifake le cost yokuthatha engcenye sikuthatha embabane siyokufaka le minimum cost lo shuttle provider kude la ustaff ubhadala la basini le mali itavele ibe incorporated la ticketini ibe netikhathi nje ukuthi ikuthatha embabane ikuthatha ezulwini ikuthatha kumathapha ikuthatha kuphi la khona but sibukele umgubudla lona vele ukuthi isuka mhlambe embabane iyofika eKM3 but ibe naleti dash la konke kwebekukhona beyiprovide le service angathi kwabe sekwendekalana but nathi siyi-airline sithi asikuthathe sikusebente ngoba sithi ikhalo sivile vele emaswati abekhala ukuthi hey kufuna ngiyopaka le ndasi noma ngivuse abantwana bayongibeka le ndasi ngekuseni lokwa sesiyilungisile maswati masinyane kutawusebenteka
kulasingena sekume ngemumo konke sekuconzile bongosi bese seseva lokho sinabe nje isuka lambabani isuka kuphi siyakwatisa lo uyayibamba lapha kule stalade base kuse Alistamila noma eGwamile Street babeshonge ithi is it air transport the association lena nje
International Air Transport Organization
ithi la Africa baka Boeing bake bakhipha 2020 basho ukuthi no le Africa siyabona ukuthi indlela lekwenteka ngayo indlela lama airlines lakhula ngayo wakhanza sile kubo 2031 ikudzingeka 14,500 new pilots 16,200 technicians ukuthi ingabe la kithi kangwane ngiyakuva ukuthi ama pilots lamanye lamaswati ayansinza lena nalena ingabe vele in terms of growth in terms of the personnel skilled personnel nenda njani la
siyabonga kakhulu Gule le skill is very scarce siyabanga la market umuntu unasafike nje kuma hours lathide uba inyama bayafuna kumthatha lena kunabo sonto nzima labafuna labashengethisa nemali but lesi sikwendile thina si Eswatini Air si identify young people laba khona sibathethe kunyalo nje lokho sikhuluma kuna 4 labase Matha Matha it's a training school lesikhona la eSouth Africa an aircraft engineering school sibathethe sathi sibafundzise sitokhona sinabaqetha babuye on the bende OJT on the job training bese babhala ke bathola ama license ku regulator bakhona ukusebenza kule dindiza sitshela ukuthi sita roll out maybe every 2 years sithathe those school leavers in particular sitokhona ne creator imisebenzi phela event bakhona ukungena kule program bakhona kusebenza.
My final question babesho ngileyo ukuthi nanka lama routes lawa lesinawo kwamanje siyawabona what informed those routes nekuthi ke ingabe planning yeni kukhona yini lenbuka ukuthi okay nale route yasingangena kuyo
siyabonga Gule ama routes ngoba emaswati abo aqonze ukuthi before sifike kulo 26 April last year the project sasiqala emuva we did a market potential analysis kubuka ukuthi maswati ayapi balabangenako basuke bachamkapi bafisene kuyapi kungako saqala nga these 4 routes kunalamanye ke ma routes nawo lesenda market potential analysis sibuka bolusaka sibuka bo Victoria Falls sibuka even neighboring Mozambique kukhona kubuka ukuthi ngabe vele nasingayicala le route le will it yield the desired result, ngoba asifuni futhi nokuthi sithi asivele sihambe nje sibhekele without doing the potential analysis nekubuka ukuthi vele sitaw ngeke operate at a loss in that route. So siyawenda lawo ma studies lawo before siyilonje I route.
Okay, bese ngiyagcina kepha ngisagcina nganaye ngoba nje nginayo lo ukuthi lo mdzala wethu insuku ngibusisile ngalo ukuthi ngeke ngayigibela indiza kanye manje sengifuna lo ukuthi la kulenza bayala ama prices babesho mhlambe kahle ngiyakhona ukuthi niyawendeni lo sivele lonke liswati likhona lo ukuthi ngincena nginenkulungwane nemakhulu lamane emalangeni akhiphini lami ngifuna ukuvakasha eJozi ngifike kunaselitiya I just want to have the experience yalendiza khona kwenta lokho ukuze silendiza elive ingagcini segibela ngileti igwilitoto
kunjalo ubuka slogan sethu egule sithi everyone must fly. Vele injongo yethu sifise ukuthi onke amaswati akhone ukundiza, and inangi yethu strategy set with the affordability. Everyone must be able to afford ukundiza. As a remove people from the road kunetingoti emgwaqweni emoyeni very minimal bakhona kundiza emaswati. Nyalo nje kulamalanga sirana special seku-celebrate wona lo mnyaka lesi sikuqedile ukuthi emaswati akhona kundiza ayeJozi Cape Town at reduce fares. So siya encourage siya invite emaswati ukuthi akabuye andize nathi Eswatini
Babisho siyabonga kakhulu sembe ukuthi njengoba sesicelelo luhambo lwalomnyaka wesibili konke kuyahamba kahle kakhulu bonke live likhona ukuthuthuka mhlambe kwatibani incesi that sifika le kubona November sekunale indiza yes3 siyabonga kakhulu umsebenzini wendako babisho
kubonga thina sibonga nasesiveni support ibeyinhle kakhulu lomnyaka lona nje support kakhulu emaswati siyabonga
Because ngo5 minutes before 8 sister bahlola ke market sibeke sitalo phetha hlelo bese ka indzaba yetindiza la Eswatini celebrate ke umnyaka isemoyeni slogan sakhona sithi everyone must fly. Sithemba ukuthi nembala lonke liswathi liyathola lithuba lokuthi ligibele le fly machine. Asibashele market sibuye silephethe la lo mhlaba nkosi.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Nembala siyalephetha bonke sihlelo lomhlakuseni semba singqoqele sibe nato utithakasele kakhulu njengoba siphuma kulenza ba itindiza nje fly machine
yo manje ngiyabona la nanikhuluma letindiza lapha nashongo lokho ukuthi soloku sendisa lide sekhutha bugwili kanzi ngihleli naso ngikhuta naso lesibili la ukugibela indiza mina ngigibela imahle matimanze ngithi stage ngehlele phasi ngibele indiza njengale mahla matimanzi
ngilele ngikushoko leyo ukuthi kunani igama lesilungu
ngiyakuva sothi fly machine soyasilutha wenda ngathi into longayidayela uyayigibela into takho kodwa nje ngiyakhatha nento wayini netigwilo ukuthi ikakhulu labantu babenu ukuthi nawo banika indvo abayitfokoteli bafuna kungathi bangathengela lokwabo
angithi abantu abetigwili ngilokuthi bonke abakwathi nalo sikusetshenziswa kuthiwe yabona
batawathi njani ngoba lo muntu ngombana lona kepha wena nje uyasebenza uthuthu takho uthola isalary yini uthola allowance lo muntu uyagicika avuka kungena in contact
angithi njalo nje abantu abetigwili balele labento le batayindana bavuka batawahamba bawudlala PlayStation
bakhuluma isingisi bafaka igown icathulo tasendlini
babetigwili ke lapho noma bamthuma esitolo lesivutana hamba ngemoto
okunene ningasiva kabi abantu abetigwili asilwi nabo kodwa nje bakhona labakahle kunokuthi nje nakuthiwa kunenvo labathi common denominator lelinye indilabo
batawuswitcha kunisale sihamba
asabe
bongosi nibe nemini lehlelo emnansi umntwana avumela sibona nehlelweni elangeni lakusasa bavuke abantu abetigwili bayovuna bathanyele nelibala